Sure. Well, in depth hypnosis and in many other traditions, we believe that the person is essentially whole. And as you described, we can these aspects of the self, of the psyche, can kind of, I don't know if it's break off, but become separated from or kind of walled off. We describe it as being stuck outside of time. Anyone who's, you know, if you've ever experienced someone who's been in shock, someone's been in a car accident, for instance, they may have that glassy-eyed look, that deer in the headlights look. They're not all there. They're not all there. They're processing. Now, in that instance, they may well reintegrate from that experience on their own. But for all of us, there are times where we don't. And so when we have that little trauma or big trauma, we get stuck there, and we ourselves move on, and we continue to grow. But there's some part of our psyche cycling in the trauma, and so from like maybe a psychotherapeutic point of view, I refer to it as aspect of the psyche. But from, say, a shamanic point of view, it's an aspect of the spirit. It's an aspect of the soul. And both work. But if we think of ourselves as like spirit in bodies, and we must tend our spirits, and by tending our spirits, we're looking at the aspects of the self that are in trouble, or are troubled, or are in difficulty, as we start to, through meditation or through different sort of self-reflective means, become aware of these aspects of ourself. And we may not become aware of them clearly, like, oh, I have the soul part, it's stuck, and it was from this time. It's more, I have this recurring pattern. Why does this keep happening? Or I have this, I get triggered and I feel really unsafe, and it doesn't, for no reason. Or maybe we think it's a reason and we blame our partner for doing something, and it's not really them. And that's a whole other, those are the relationship issue. But as I mentioned before, it's this, in doing the inner work, part of, I think, the inner work of just being on this human path is becoming aware of the parts of ourselves, the aspects of our experience that have caused us to separate from parts of ourselves. And so you mentioned Carl Jung, and Carl Jung talks about the shadow. And so the shadow is that place where these aspects remain, and it's in shadow because we're not aware of it.